My fellow citizens and residents, let me welcome you again to another edition of Leadership Matters. This is the most popular public accountability program in the region. This very important series continues to be, as it has become, a fulcrum of information, discussion, and debate where all can be informed by and interact with the highest offices of our government here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The founding father and third president of the United States of America, Thomas Jefferson, is credited to have said, "Where the press is free and every man can read, all is safe." Indeed, here in our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis, a beacon of democracy, we have taken it a bit further, for not only is our press free, but through forums such as this, your government is giving every citizen and resident the opportunity to be one's own reporter, giving everyone the means to ask the questions on the topics most concerning to him or her. This unprecedented, unfettered, live access to the highest offices of our country's administration is all part and parcel of my administration's good governance agenda. On this forum, we keep the public well informed on a wide range of issues of national, regional, and international concern. For the past several episodes, we have focused exclusively on the ever-present danger of COVID-19, our responses to the existential threat, and our plans for the quickest and most robust recovery. As a country, St. Kitts and Nevis has fared better than most in our handling of the pandemic. We have done so because of our early preparedness, decisive actions, our natural resilience willed to us by our forebears, the sense of shared responsibility, and the all-of-society approach with which we continue to fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. For the most part, we all became our brother's keeper, and the successes we gained together are clearly evident. We have the lowest number of COVID cases of all independent states in our region. All our cases are fully recovered, and we thank God that here in St. Kitts and Nevis, no one has died from COVID-19. It is in this regard of being our brother's keeper that we tonight give pause to our own challenges, to give thought, prayers, and support to our OECS and CARICOM brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This week, the big issue continues to be the volcanic eruption at La Soufrière in the north of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That eruption last Friday, April 9th, has caused the evacuation of about 20,000 persons, principally from the red zone, to other areas in the south of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It has created a Herculean challenge for the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and indeed our Caribbean region. It certainly exposes further the vulnerability of our region to issues of climate change, and in particular, natural and even man-made disasters. Today is the 42nd anniversary of the eruption of La Soufrière volcano in 1979. Today I'm advised another eruption occurred at La Soufrière. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, speaking to the media recently said, and I quote, "The eruptions are not over. And if history is any guide, the eruptions will be continuing for the coming months. In 1979, it was about 2.5 months before the people got the all clear. And in 1902, The volcano apparently erupted for over 8 months. End of quote. Prime Minister Gonsalves conceded that with about 20,000 people expected to be internally displaced for possibly months, it is not financially sustainable for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He went on to say that COVID-19 has already dealt a serious body blow to the economy, and it is not sustainable for his country to be in COVID protocol and partially shut down because of the volcano, and at the same time housing tens of thousands of people. He continued, "We have had some warning and put some money aside, but certainly not enough to house this quantity of people for that period of time. We are going to rely increasingly as time goes on our development partners and our friends and allies." End of quote. St. Kitts and Nevis is a genuine ally of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I love St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we as a people have been moved to provide a comprehensive humanitarian response. Many persons have congratulated St. Kitts and Nevis for the comprehensive response it has provided to St. Vincent and the Grenadines at this time of crucial need. Some ask how we were able to do so much at this time. We were able to do so because we had the strongest fiscal balance in the region before COVID-19 hit us in March of 2020. We had saved by then for the proverbial rainy day. Clearly, it is challenging for all of us, but we are good Samaritans in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have offered the following support to St. Vincent and the Grenadines: financial assistance in the sum of $1 million to assist with the evacuation and resettling of the citizens and residents of St. Vincent and the Grenadines from the danger zone around the volcano; to host families of 2 or 3 members evacuated from the danger zone, totaling not more than 300 persons. Our technical team, of course, would determine the requirements for entry, including COVID-19 protocols such as vaccination. Yesterday, Prime Minister Gonsalves indicated that the majority of the evacuees wanted to remain in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our financial contribution then will go some ways in them staying there. We offered to provide human resources through the Regional Security System, RSS, recruited from our defense and police forces to support humanitarian activities, provide technical support, and conduct peacekeeping efforts underground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We committed to release to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency the sum of $20,000 towards its Special Emergency Assistance Fund in order to bring further relief to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and to support some of its logistical operations. Our National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has been tasked with coordinating the national response to the need list provided by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So far, NEMA has done an exceptional job, and its director will give further information on the support mobilized so far. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has communicated his sincere appreciation, as have the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines living there and here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We are privileged here in St. Kitts and Nevis to be able to help, and for this we thank God. We are reminded often that it is so much better to give than to receive. Some here have asked, why in our own time of difficulty and challenge, brought on by COVID-19, and when some of our own people are experiencing hardships, we are giving resources to others. We are to be reminded by the good book to do unto others as we would have done unto us. What would it say of us in St. Kitts and Nevis if we aren't willing to give a starving man some or all of our meal because we don't want to be hungry for a day? The real test of love, humanity, fellowship, and giving is not in the parting with the excess, but with parting with what is needed for the sake of one's fellow man. It is important for us to be there for our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is a member of the OECS and of CARICOM. I know that we would want them to be there for us if and when our time of trial comes. Indeed, we are both volcanic islands, and it could have easily, but for the will of God, been us. In fact, we have 2 volcanoes within our shores, so we can have it twice over. A moral duty outlined in the good book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 35 says, "In all things I have shown you, that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he himself said, 'It is more blessed to give than to receive.'" Galatians 6 verse 2 says, "Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ." And finally, at Hebrews 13 and 16, it is written, "Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God." Yes, Kittitians and Nevisians are by nature like good Samaritans. All of us are vulnerable. St. Kitts and Nevis had its past volcanic eruption. While it is a distant way back, our volcano can be activated. We must do the best and be the best that we can be at all times. Apart from our moral duty, our Eastern Caribbean Currency Union needs fully functioning economies for its financial stability. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is an important member of the Currency Union. Its challenges represent a further setback to its recovery and that of the sub-region as a whole. Unless we are prepared to be our brother's keeper, the international community will not take us seriously and will be less likely to help when we are not willing to help our kith and kin. Our diplomat on the panel is Dr. Didicus Jules, and he may have something to say about this tourism. The situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not their issue alone. In my view, it is a regional issue, nay, a global issue. As a region, we have a duty to stand with our brothers and sisters and provide them with support at a time of vulnerability and need. As a region, we are in this together. As a region, we will get through it together. I am pleased, as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, to acknowledge that in less than a week, St. Kitts and Nevis has mobilized a substantial and comprehensive response to the situation facing the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Apart from my government, the rest of our society has responded well. Last evening I visited Nima and thanked scores of young men and women who were helping to sort supplies for 2 containers earmarked for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. One was a 40-foot container, the other was a 20-foot container. Imagine, notwithstanding our small size, we could so quickly put a large quantity of food and non-food items identified by the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines on their list of needs, including baby food, water, feminine napkins, pampers, etc. Let me publicly commend Mr. Abdia Samuel, who is here tonight, Director of NEMA, for an excellent mobilization since the meeting of the Mitigation Council held last Friday. I want to thank all persons and St. Kitts and Nevis who have supported this major humanitarian response. We collectively are being a blessing to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We offer hope to them that they are not alone. I am certain that our God is pleased with us. Permit me just for a moment to say a word on the COVID-19 pandemic. This, of course, is our most significant challenge, and indeed, the most significant opportunity available to us is in defeating the COVID-19 pandemic. Given the effective management of the COVID-19 pandemic by our Team Unity government, it can be easy to forget that this global pandemic still grips the world. In our federation, we go about our daily lives relatively easy. In other countries, they are still in lockdown, with police patrolling the streets to arrest and caution those who break the curfews and other laws. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we send our children to school, but children in other countries must still stay at home because of COVID-19. Everyone in our federation can receive a free vaccination, but in other countries, people have to wait their turn. That is, if there is any vaccine for them at all. Globally, I must remind the citizens and residents, vaccines are scarce. I want to urge our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis to get vaccinated now that we have vaccines available. Ignore the propaganda. Our economy is driven in a significant way by tourism. We saw last year the serious impact that arises from having no tourists at all. Our hotel closed, persons lost their jobs, our severance fund has unprecedented claims, and the federal government has had to supplement the fund. As part of our plan to protect your jobs and to protect our economy, we must ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis is as ready as we can be to welcome tourists. We will do all we can to make sure that St. Kitts and Nevis is the best managed state. When the tourists are ready to travel again in large numbers, COVID-19 safety will be crucial in deciding where they take a vacation. St. Kitts and Nevis must be their first choice. Our federation will be ready to welcome back tourists when the time is right. We want our cruise ships to return this summer to create work for our taxi operators, our hair braiders, those at our souvenir shops, those working at Caribel Batik, Grimson Hill, Black Rocks, Carambola, Port Zante, etc., to name some of the beneficiaries of cruise tourism. All of these workers and service providers should get themselves vaccinated now so they can be ready long before the cruise passengers arrive. It is important that we get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we can. Those who work in tourism, and indeed all of us, must get vaccinated as a matter of urgency. The more people who are vaccinated, the safer persons feel about traveling, studying, and investing in St. Kitts and Nevis. It was our safety which brought MSR Productions here and with it, we will benefit from 6 movies. It was our safety that brought Below Deck to host several guests at Park Hyatt here in St. Kitts. And it is our safety that brought back 650 Ross University students to St. Kitts. Getting herd immunity means our economy can be fully opened up. It means more jobs can be created and more opportunities will arise, especially for our young people and others looking for work. We got vaccinated then to put our people back to work. Some people say the vaccine is a concern. In my view, they are playing political games, putting their own selfish needs ahead of the health of the people. In my view, there is nothing more concerning than having no jobs. Vaccinate to make it easier to secure and maintain your job. There is nothing more concerning than catching the COVID-19. There is nothing more concerning than jeopardizing your health or the health of your family and friends. I therefore ask that you vaccinate to protect yourself and your family. This is why it is important that all persons are inoculated. This is our part to get back our lives together again. This is the part to hosting the CPL Games, to hosting music festival, Independence, Carnival, etc., you name them. It is the pathway to more functions being held, with greater spending in the economy, with more persons making a serious living. It is the pathway to the stronger and safer future. And it is the pathway to more freedom in determining crowd sizes at events, including at our church and sports meets. Tonight, to help us better understand what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I have invited an eminent panel of knowledgeable persons to join me. I want to join Jackie in welcoming our panelists tonight. Dr. Didicus Jules is our Director General at the OECS Commission in St. Lucia. I consider him a regional public servant, a man with a tremendous passion and concern for Caribbean people. Miss Elizabeth Riley is the Acting Executive Director at SEDEMA in Barbados. That entity is critical to our efforts at developing resilience and, of course, responding to member states in times of disaster. And I wish to especially welcome her. Mr. Abdias Samuel is no stranger. He is our disaster coordinator at NEMA in St. Kitts. I want finally to say thank you again for the thousands of persons who have tuned in across the many platforms of ZIZ broadcasting. I know you will find tonight's edition of Leadership Matters informative. I anticipate a lively discussion and thank you again for tuning in. May God continue to bless us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you.